It is the 24th day of June 2021. Thank you for joining us on Newspaper Review and High Impact Television. My name is God's Time David, and I'll be walking you through stories making rounds on front pages of newspapers this morning. We'll also take a look at coronavirus update. But before we do that, right about now, we have our guest joining us from Port Harcourt, Blessing Opara. He's a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Blessing. Thank you for joining us.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation on Wednesday said it was collaborating with law enforcement agencies.
Are you there, Blessing? Please turn down the volume of your TV set so you can hear us. Are you there? Can Blessing hear me? Are you there, Blessing?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Okay.
All right, let's begin with the Punch newspaper, and this is on Nigeria's debts. Now, WTO Director General Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and Ahmed Zainab are coming out to say that the debt of Nigeria has gone from 25% to about 35%, and this is actually really worrisome. How do you react to this debt story?
What Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is saying is true. It's actually very worrisome. This is basic economy. You don't borrow and expect an economy to grow, especially when you are spending the borrowed money on recurrent expenditure. You are not investing the money. There is no revenue generation from the borrowed fund. Doesn't make sense. It's definitely going to worry any in Nigeria. So she's right in what she said.
Now, how do you think this is going to affect the economy? Now, let me quickly relate it to the 37 billion naira that has been, 37 billion naira that has been released for the renovation of the National Assembly. If we have that huge sum of money put in out or set aside for a renovation, why do we have to keep borrowing? How about, don't you think that Nigerians might do well in looking at other form of generating revenue for the economy?
You know, when I heard the story about the 37 billion naira funds released for renovation of the National Assembly building, I was shocked. Just shows you that we don't have a plan in the country. The government doesn't have a plan. The funds that are coming in, the borrowed funds, are not being accounted for. I can't say we don't have evidence of what they are using the money for. So, and there is no accountability. Accountability is a problem, and it's definitely going to affect everything. You know, if they've released 37 billion for renovation and it's not being used, questions should be asked why. I'm very happy that affecting those in government right now. It didn't have veterans. So it's a good thing. It's a good time that.
So I might be misunderstanding you. You are excited or that it is affecting those in government. Now, you earlier mentioned that it is looking like the government does not have plans for the economy and the funds that are released. Now, you recall that most of those funds are put in other sectors, right? Most of course, let's take a look at the transport sector and what Amaechi is currently doing. Now, would you say that that is not enough? I'm not only referring to the transport sector. Would you say that that is not enough?
That is not enough. That is not enough. The transport sector is just, if you look at the project, right, that Honorable Chibike Rutim Amaechi is carrying out, it's not what the country needs at this moment. You know, a railway system. We need a good railway system inside, from north to east, north to south, where businesses are high.
Well,
so I don't know when you say transport sector alone. Yes, other sectors, but we are not seeing them. They are claiming that they put in money, but we are not seeing the effect. We are not seeing any project.
Well, I've actually seen one project, and that one is the train station in Lagos that takes people from Lagos to Ibadan. It's new and it is fantastic. But let's move away very quickly from that story to another one. Gumi knocks army as 200 killed in Zamfara, despite Buhari's no-fly zone. Now, Sheikh Gumi has been on the front burners for quite some time now, as he's coming out to accuse the security operatives of not doing enough to reduce what is currently going on in the country. Now, he also made a statement saying that Nigeria or the federal government should consider negotiating with bandits. You would agree with me that not just in Nigeria, even in the United States, there were no conversations or negotiations with bandits. But how do you react to this headlines?
Yeah, America has a policy. You don't negotiate with terror. So I don't know where he's getting that idea from, that you have to negotiate with bandits. These bandits have committed heinous crime. They've killed people. They've taken lives. I don't know why he's coming at this time now to say we should negotiate with bandits. And I watched the video and what he was saying, that the Nigerian army, they know them. They found out that the force they're using is not working. It doesn't make sense. It's not right. I don't agree with me at all on that. The government should really look into this. If there is a problem, if this bandit have a demand, the demands should be looked into, and if there are objective demands that can be met, it should be met, but not to go and negotiate them.
Well, sorry to interrupt you. Now, if you're saying those demands, they have demands, and those demands should be met, that is negotiation. Because if you're trying to meet their demands, you're invariably negotiating with them. You're meeting their demands. That's negotiation.
When you say bandit, these people are already committing crimes. They should be attended. They should be treated as criminal. But if this citizen of the north or these affected areas are having a request, they have a demand,
okay,
it should be looked into.
Okay. Not
the bandit.
Okay.
The moment the bandits make a request, you are now beginning to negotiate with them, which is what I don't agree with. If a normal citizen should commit such a crime, it's death sentence. So why should they negotiate with them?
All right, Blessing, hold that thought. If you've just joined us, it's Newspaper Review on High Impact Television. We'll have Blessing join us again after this short break. Please stay with us. Thank you for still watching Newspaper Review on High Impact Television. Before we went on that break, we had our guest Blessing Opara from Port Harcourt. We also took stories on the Punch newspaper. We would have Blessing join us in the course of this conversation. But very quickly, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. On the front page of the Guardian newspaper, airfare spike as aviation fuel nears 300 naira per litre at airport. Thai democracy protesters rally against government despite COVID warnings. Mexico president turns on middle class after election blow. Presidency distances itself from media proposed bill's amendment and says Malami studying ruling on social media ban. TV and Fulani read truce in Benue and Taraba states. Adamawa Assembly grants financial autonomy to Auditor General. Now reject Onoche's INEC nomination on dual nationality ground, CSO tells National Assembly. Now let's take the first story. Airfare spike as aviation fuel nears 300 naira per litre at airports. Despite an upswing in the global price of crude oil and attendant blessings for all producing countries, the price of aviation fuel has spiked nationwide and much to the pains of airlines and travelers in Nigeria. A fact checked by some newsmen said that aviation fuel, also called the Jet A1, has lately called for between 212 naira at airport in the south and at 300 naira per litre in low traffic. Now away from that story, reject Onoche's INEC nomination on dual nationality ground, CSOs tells National Assembly. Right about now, we have our guest joining us from Ibadan, Kemi Yusuf. She's a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Kemi. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear me, Kemi?
Yes, I can.
All right, Kemi, thank you for joining us. We'll have Blessing join us alongside as well. But in the meantime, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, so we're talking about the story of Sheikh Gumi. I'm sure you're familiar with Sheikh Gumi and the recent conversations that has been on the front burners. This morning, he accused security agencies and operatives of not doing enough to secure lives and properties when it comes to abduction and the rest. Now, recall that some days ago, he made a statement on an interview in one of the TV stations saying that there should be a form of negotiation with bandits so as not to gamble with the lives of these children. How would you react to that?
Wrong. The truth is we've been negotiating somehow with these bandits because we keep paying these ransoms and the kidnappings do not stop because they keep making money. So there has to be some sort of dialogue. I think what he wants is what the Niger Delta militants got. That's what he's trying to push. But there's always a consequence for every action you take. I understand what he's trying to say, but these guys are criminals. Whether their motive is they did not go to school or there's a lack of governance or lack of leadership in that space, that is true. But still, they are criminals and they should not exist. And yes, I don't think the military is doing enough. There are so many factors that we can say is causing all of this. Yes, there's no morale. Maybe they're not getting paid enough, but still, your primary duty is to secure the lives and property of people.
All right.
Both internally and externally, but that's not happening.
Okay, now let's quickly link this. We also have another guest on the line, that's Blessing Opara from Port Harcourt. Now, we're taking the story of abductions in the northwest side of the country. And those abductions, at least 800 students have been abducted between January and this time. That is, it's beyond that, but that is the statistics that we have right now. A university in Abuja, Veritas University, actually released a statement this morning saying that they are going virtual. Now, Blessing, this is for you. Do you think that Nigeria, as a country, do you think we are ready to go virtual?
I don't think Nigeria as a country we are ready to go virtual. It was tried during the lockdown, and I watched an interview in one of the news where many pupils and students in school cried that they don't have internet-enabled phone. Their parents can't afford phones for them or tabs. So it's if this should come into play, it's just very few people that are opportune that will be able to experience or enjoy this new facility. So I don't think we're ready as a country.
All right.
This shift, we're not ready.
Okay, Kemi, what do you think? What's your view on this?
I agree with Blessing. We're not ready at all. We keep forgetting that Nigeria is the home to a lot of people that live below the poverty line. And yes, people want to get education, but how many people can afford data? Even these schools, they don't have the infrastructure for ICT to even deliver the lectures properly. I mean, during the lockdown, like he said, we saw, it was laughable, to be honest. So very few schools can, and yeah, Nigeria is not ready. We're not ready at all. There's no power supply. We're not ready.
Now, let's quickly talk about the effect this would have, not just on the students, on Nigeria's education sector. How do you think this is going to affect the education sector and the relationship of Nigeria to other countries? Because if all schools are going virtually, or if all schools are going, Blessing, this is for you. Now, if all schools are going virtual, you already said, Kemi said, you and Kemi rightly said that we're not ready as a country to go virtual. Now, how is this going to affect us as individuals? This is for you, Blessing. Yeah, this is for you, Blessing.
Okay, it's as individuals, it's a good thing. You know, in developed country, they're already having these facilities. It's going to help people become more internet compliant. You know, they will have access to information. They will be able to study for themselves. But honestly, like I said earlier, we're not ready for it. But if we can make that shift, it's definitely going to be a plus to Nigeria. We're going to be joining our counterparts to the world to advance in terms of digital learning. Yeah.
All right, let's quickly move away from that story to this one. This is one big story. Now, it says that there are rejections for President Muhammadu Buhari. Actually, President Muhammadu Buhari sent a nomination to the National Assembly nominating Loretta Onoche as INEC commissioner. Now, you would agree with me that the Nigerian Constitution states that whoever is taking the office of Independent National Electoral Commission has to be somebody that is neutral. There should be no traces of biases or being partisan. Now, Loretta Onoche is the PA to President Muhammadu Buhari on social media, and there are calls for that nomination to be withdrawn. Now, Kemi, do you think that do you think that they should put? What did you say? Can you hear me, Kemi?
Yes, I can. I didn't say anything.
Okay, so I'm saying that this nomination, some groups have called for this nomination to be withdrawn by the president. How would you react to this? Because she works with the president. Next year, we're going to be talking about elections. She is part of the APC. So why is the nomination coming up for her to be an INEC chair?
I agree that it is ridiculous. She is a partisan individual. And like you rightly said, whoever is in that position should be neutral. And she's not. I mean, if I know there's a Twitter ban right now, but if you check her Twitter page before, she obviously is biased to the APC government. And you cannot have that kind of individual as an INEC commissioner. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And yes, it should be withdrawn. I agree completely. It should be withdrawn. All
right, Blessing, what's your view on this?
This story came up last year. That was the first time this story came up, and I was among people that on social media that didn't agree. I don't agree with it at all. Like Kemi said, she's biased. She belongs to the APC. She belongs to the government. So you can't have somebody there. Like we need someone that is neutral. You can't have someone who's going to take sides to become our INEC commissioner. No, I don't agree.
Okay,
there are better candidates that can do it.
Well, we can only hope that that nomination would see a light of day, because, as you've said, that story surfaced since last year, and there has been calls for that nomination to be withdrawn. But as we speak, that nomination has not been withdrawn. Let's hope that the federal government and the presidency would do what is best for Nigeria and its citizens. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Blessing Opara from Port Harcourt and Kemi Yusuf from Ibadan. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if you've just joined us, it's Newspaper Review on High Impact Television. We'll take a breather. When we come back, the review continues. Please stay with us. Good to have you watch Newspaper Review. Before we went on that break, we had our guests join us from Ibadan and Port Harcourt. Join us at 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. for details of those stories and other stories. I'd like to appreciate our guests, as Blessing Opara and Kemi Yusuf, for joining us this morning. That will be it for this morning. Thank you for joining us. My name is God's Time David. Have a great day. Bye-bye.